Hello, hello, hello. I am so excited to be here today, my internet family. So, today I want to talk about something that I've noticed with a lot of the people that I've helped divorce through the years. And it's that it's so easy not to see something like a divorce, separation, some kind of failure, or something that you perceive as failure to not concentrate on your part of it, but instead you're concentrating on the part that somebody else was guilty of. So, an example, you're in a divorce situation, but you are, always thinking about what they did wrong versus really truly looking into it as an opportunity to learn to know yourself better. And I'm guilty of that. I think we're all guilty of it at one point or another. But one of the things that, we truly need to start thinking of difficult periods in your life as something to learn from, okay, as a lesson. Because truth be told, I don't think we learn from the happy things, the good things that we get in life or we receive in life, but we truly do learn more from the difficulties, the heartbreak. But the only way to truly take advantage of those lessons, in my opinion, is to take the moment to analyze yourself in what parts of it you could have handled better. You could have perhaps, there was a lesson there for you. And I don't think it's ever too late to learn from certain lessons in our life. I experienced great growth from actually looking back, sometimes years in the past. Maybe after the emotions have come down, maybe after time has healed the wound. And sometimes, so I'll take a notebook. I'm big on journaling. If you know me, you know that I journal just about every day, even if it's just 5 minutes, just to dump whatever is in my head and kind of process anything that doesn't serve me. But it gives me the courage to look to kind of put it out there on paper so that it's not as painful and as powerful. And it stops me from reacting sometimes in certain ways that later on I might regret. So it's just something that I do when I wake up, get my matcha tea or coffee, and I sit down and just truly, just get down to how I feel, what's in my head, and just what's kind of what came back sometimes through dreams. We go back in time and we remember certain things that we no longer remembered, maybe from a long time ago, or didn't even think of it. And then a new realization will come to you where something that happened, and then you're like, wait a minute, it this whole time I thought it was their fault. And maybe it is, but now I can see what part of it I needed to learn. What was the lesson for me? And that's something that, as we do this constantly, we're going to start seeing incredible leaps and bounds. We're going to start receiving gifts from the universe and from God. We're going to start truly letting go of those things that no longer serves us, but we'll also avoid having the same issue again. Because one of the things that I realize now is that we keep repeating cycles until the lesson is passed. It's just like university, it's just like high school, it's just like middle school, whatever. Elementary school, you go to class, but if you got F's and you didn't pass your lessons, you know that you're going to end up repeating the grade. And it's just so that because there's something there that you must learn. And in life, it's the same thing. Sometimes, we break up with someone and then we end up with the same person in a different body, the same energy in a different body. And that happens when we don't truly analyze and kind of let go and forgive ourselves and forgive them and truly understand what our part and take responsibility for what we did wrong in that situation, in that relationship, in that job, in whatever, that business, whatever it was, that is no longer in your life. So as you do that and you integrate all those things, then you start preparing your life and your soul, and everything's going to start transforming in your life. Because at that point, when it starts transforming in your life, you're going to start receiving new opportunities, better people will come around. But better situations will come around, better opportunities will come around. But you kind of have to take the time to do that. One of the worst things that I've seen, and I've been helping people get divorced for the last 11 years. And one of the things that I've seen is I have repeat offenders. I have repeat customers. I always tell them at the point that's the second one. I'm like, at this point, because usually it's men, like, you're my son, okay? Just call me mommy. Because at this point, I'm just trying them to help move on again. And I've had situations where I tell them, please, just take your time. You don't need to rush into marriage again. You really need to go deep within. They dissect what parts of you caused this, because it's not always the other person. And as a matter of fact, to me, I don't think it's always only the other person. It takes two to tango, right? I mean, we have to take ownership of our actions and our reactions to situations that cause, an avalanche or cause a trigger effect. And again, it now, with that said, if it is domestic violence was involved, okay, um, and I'm saying this with my whole heart, do look at it through the lens that you are a victim. Okay, that is like the one of the few times that, child abuse, anything like that, anything that was truly they were abusive, okay, physically or emotionally towards you. Obviously, I don't want you to say, oh, that was my fault. And that's not what I mean by this, okay, at all. Because there is a culture out there right now, where abused women or men are always questioned, oh, why did you stay? You stayed for 10 years, you must have liked it. And that is so much bull crap. There's a lot of reasons why people stay, and I am going to make videos about that, because it is important, um, to understand certain parts of that, as to why you stay in a bad relationship longer than you should have had. And, comment down below if this is something that you suffer from, because something that I finally understanding about me. I do have that habit of staying longer than I should have, where the expiration date was passed, way past, and I'm still here, and that shouldn't have been. And but that is part of the lesson, right? I had to look at to why I stayed. Why did I stay? And I had to resolve some trauma there. But it took me a while, it took me years to get to the point that now I can say, oh, that's why I did that. But and that has a lot to do with, your emotional abuse, physical abuse, maybe trauma from childhood that were not healed. So that would be for another video. But for this video, if you have been abused physically or emotionally, you already finding fault in you. But in most cases, the fault is the balance. The balance is way off, and then you blame yourself for what happened if you're still holding on to that pain, right? So in your case, if you have been emotionally or physically abused, I want you to know this: it was not your fault that that person decided to react to whatever that way. Perhaps maybe they had trauma, maybe they had unhealed wounds, whatever it is. You are not a doctor. You were not supposed to sustain that. And if you sustained it, okay, it's not your fault. So in your case, I don't want you to go into it to see what part of you. The only part of you that I think will be healthy for you to go into would be in the part of the why did I stay? What triggered, what made me allow that to happen. And I can tell you right now, the answer is self love. That's the answer. And I'll have another video about that. That's a whole different ball of wax, and I don't want this video to go on and on. But self-love usually is at the end of most lessons that we get in our lifetime. Did we love ourselves enough that we gave from our cup of love, but in the overflow versus a broken or empty cup of love? And then what happens is that when we love someone else, a situation or whatever, more than we love ourselves, we allow people to treat us a certain way that we do not deserve. And so we stay in those relationships thinking that perhaps, I can change something, or perhaps he can change, and then we get pregnant thinking a child may, bring us into more unity, and maybe that's what's lacking. Or sometimes, I don't know. There's so many reasons why we stay longer than we should. But the bottom line is that regardless of what that is, regardless if it was a friendship or anything like that, I want you to truly look into what was your role, what was your lesson, not so much your role, but your lesson. What made your life better because this happened? And sometimes it's extremely hard to do. But when you do that and you start focusing and stop talking about them and stop putting energy on them and start blaming them for everything, and then you take back your energy and you focus it inside of you, and you look at yourself and you look at what happened and you look at your reaction, not why they did that or why, and catch yourself. Because a lot of people that I've helped to get divorced, they focus so much on why they did this. Oh, and they did that, and they did this, and I did this because of them. The moment that you stop that chatter in your brain and you start just breathing in your own energy, taking back your energy, and understanding that that was their role, but now what is my role? What did I do? What am I responsible for? What can I change? Because in the end, the only thing that we can change is ourselves, not even our children. I have 4 kids and they're all wildly different, completely different. And I have to like maneuver how I deal with all of them, separately, because they are completely different energies, completely different mentalities, completely different personalities. And when you're dealing with people, you're dealing with situations, even customers, you need to think about what, out of this situation, out of this, what was my part in it? What was my lesson? And why am I better now? How did my life improve versus the past? Like they're no longer in my life, okay. Or maybe you're in your way out, okay, or whatever, or it's a friend that you're no longer friends with, okay. So you take a look back, stop talking about them, stop throwing shade at them, stop that nonsense. And then you look inside and you tell yourself, okay, what did this person brought to my life that my life is better now? Or this situation or the job, what happened now? If that, what is different now in my life that it's better? And if you dig and dig and dig and dig and dig, you will find something that, this is why my life is better now. I get it. Okay, so I had to go through this. Everything that we go through in life is a lesson, and it's a lesson that we must learn so that we can go to the next level. So that maybe we would move cities. So that maybe you had that child, you had that relationship because you were supposed to have that child, or maybe you had to have this job so you could learn this skill set, and then from that skill set now you do something else that is much more fulfilling. So there's always something out of any situation, regardless of what that situation is, that it's going to improve your life, whatever that is. And I mean, as a matter of fact, I am going to be completely honest here. I am right now working into figuring out how my parents divorced when I was 2 years old, how that improved my life. So that's something much deeper, because obviously that has affected one of the reasons why I stayed too long in relationships, being friendships, just familial relationships, in marriages, really, romantic, doesn't matter. Why I usually stay longer in a relationship, in a connection, longer than I should. And so when I looked at that, and I looked at my track record, so I think I lost my shit 3 times in my life, for 3 different connections. And I basically lost my head. Like, it took me a year on all 3 of them to truly process what happened, let him go with love and all of that. And, I'm like, okay, my goal now is to speed up that process so I don't have to go through so much pain and so much, I want to be able to move on quicker. And so one of the things that I'm doing now, it's that, so now I had to truly dig in to find out, where is this coming from? Why am I so afraid of losing people in my life, even when they no longer belong there? And why am I doing this? And so it came out to be from when my mom and my dad separated when I was 2 years old. That was, of course, a divorce. I don't remember the exact moment when I felt torn apart from my dad, whom I always loved and adored. And, and how, when did that happen? I don't remember how it happened, but I do remember how it felt. And so I think that from that, I am so scared of losing anybody, in my life. And, it's a lesson that has been, and I'm still processing. Okay, so why is my life better now? How did that impact my life to the point that it's better now? And I kind of have an idea of why. And let's just say that there were certain things, that my dad was not prepared to handle with. He was very young. My mom was very young. And if I would have been raised with both of them, who knows where I will be today, because they were both destructive towards each other to a certain degree. So I'm thinking, and then I'm still trying to integrate that to see if that's exactly what happened. But I have a feeling that that's what it is. And hopefully, now that I discovered it, now I can say, okay, so why my life is better now? Because, yes, I was not in that relationship where, they were destructing, and at least it was short in my life. And yes, my mom did pick other life partners that were not the best pick, but they were not my dad, so it felt kind of different. Like I could detach a little bit of what was going on, and I think that helped me a lot. I think it would have been much more painful if I found that out, like if both of them were inflicting pain on each other in front of me for extended periods of time. So I mean, that's what I'm thinking, and I feel good that that's the answer. I'm gonna continue digging to see what else I find on that thought process. But my point is that, yes, it's painful. Yes, it's hard to let go and get divorced and get separated, and letting go of somebody that you love very much in your family. All of those things are very painful. But once we understand what our part was in it, and we start forgiving, and there's a whole process to that. I have all the videos on that, on the forgiving process. But the number one thing, once you separate or divorce from someone, to me, is to stop blaming them, putting energy on them, trying to figure out why they did this, why they did that, why no, you know, stop that madness, and then look at yourself, look at what you did, look at your part in it. Again, if your domestic violence, suffered from emotional domestic violence, I suggest that you turn it back a little. But anyway, this is what I have for you. I hope that it helps, and I will be posting more videos. Please like, subscribe, and share. Maybe this message could help someone else out there, someone in your life that you love very much. Okay? Mwah! On to the next video. Bye.